Hey everyone, class is in session. Let me tell you what I'm about to go through. In this video, I will teach you JavaScript DOM manipulation, event listeners, and UI state management. I am Caesar, a senior in computer science and advertising. I'm just trying to become a front-end web developer, so for that, these topics are crucial, and this is how I learn these. If that interests you, then let's begin with UI state management. Let's start with some vocab. State management. State is just the data that represents the current condition of your website. Determines what your app looks like, UI, and how your website behaves. So for example, if you have a dark mode button, if it's clicked, first you update the state, the data, then the color changes on your website. Reactive state. When state changes, UI auto changes. Think of a counter. Store, that is the place where state lives. Immutable and mutable states. Mutable, you directly change the state. Immutable doesn't ever change the initial state. It makes a new updated state. Signals, how you manage reactive state, like getter, setter, or listeners. When using state, always think like this. The UI should be fully automatically determined by the state. That's an important mindset to have. Anyways, there are 3 ways to do state management: Redux-based, atom-based, and mutation-based. We're going to do mutation-based because it's simple, direct, and you do it with vanilla JavaScript. How do you manage the state in JavaScript? I am going to break this down into 4 steps. Step 1, you store your state in a variable. That is our state. Step 2, make a function to initially render your state. We have our variable of our h1, so let's do var1.inner text equals state.name. There we go. And name. Boom, our state changed. There we go. Have our variable with the state. We just rendered it and it changed on the website. Step 3, you make a function to update your state. So function update state callback, which I will tell you about that later. You call callback and then you call render state. Step 4, whenever you change your state and want to show it, you use the update state function from step 3. Let's first get rid of this. Let's make it a set timeout. Arrow function. For this timeout, I want to update my states. So in here, let's do another arrow function where inside the update state, I'm going to change it. So state.name is equal to John. I'm using this update state method to change it. Let's refresh. 1, 2, 3. There we go. It changed. So it doesn't have to be set timeout. Whenever you want to update your state, you use the update state method. This arrow function that I use here takes the place of the callback. So whatever you do here, it'll do for your update state here, then it'll render it. And because we changed it, we changed the name here, this will turn to John, then it'll render. So that is how you change states in JavaScript. Easy way. Now let's move on to DOM manipulation. There are 15 ways to manipulate the DOM. Once you learn it and start using them, there's a whole new door that opens for web development. Put some more things here. So p tag. Let's do a span tag. So first, adding elements to the page. You use .append and .append child. They're pretty much the same in most ways, but .append, you could use it with both strings and variables and multiple variables. .child only works with elements and child elements. So pretty much just stick to .append. And there we go, it appended it to the body. Creating elements. It is literally just document dot create elements. And inside of here, what kind of elements you want. Div. It's that simple. That's how you do it. But remember that you still have to append it to the page. Modifying text. The same as before, you could either use .inner text or .text content, but just use inner text because it's better for debugging. There we go. Now our div has text in it. Modifying elements HTML. It is very powerful. Use .inner HTML, use quotation marks, and you pretty much do how you would inside your HTML document. So let's just copy this just to make it simpler. That is a very easy way to put things inside of an element, but you should never do this. The big downside for that is security. If anyone has access to this kind of code, you can get hacked badly. Instead, what you want to do is break it down into what I told you before. You create an element, you add text, then append it. And there we go. Just like that, we have done the same thing, but it is a lot more secure. Now on to removing elements. You can use the .remove by .remove. Oh, not remove attributes. Remove. And it is gone. There's also the same with remove child. It's weird. Remove child. Again, just use remove. It's a lot simpler. Okay, big one here. Modifying element attributes. So this is the same thing as saying, we'll see other code. So hi.id. To get the ID of it, get attributes, same thing like that. There's also hi.set attribute. And the two parameters for this, what attribute you want to set it to. So we want to change its ID and then change it to a new ID, which is the same as hi.id is equal to new ID. Just another way to do that. You could also, just like remove, there is hi.remove attribute. Tell it what attribute you want to remove, and it'll remove the ID. Now, to access data attributes, which are a bit advanced, so you're not going to be using this as a beginner level. I don't even use these right now because I haven't built such complex things to use them. But anyway, data sets. The way you do this is dataset. What this will do is it will give you the list of all the data attributes, more things you can do. Dataset dot, you see here, it'll give you a list of things you could do. If you use a dot, you'll be able to access all the data attributes that are on that element. So data attribute name. This is just a placeholder. You could change this with the actual data attribute you have on the elements, but we don't have any, so you just replace that with whatever it would be. There's also hi.dataset.new data equals new data set. So this will create a new data attribute called data new dataset. Again, that's data attributes. That is a bit complicated. Class list. Pretty intuitive. There is class list .add. It'll add a class to it. Oh, also these get and set attributes are typically for IDs. Because you have the class list available to you, you should use these for classes. There's also class list .remove. It'll remove a class that you have on the element. Now, another cool thing you have with class list is toggle. If hi does have the class of class 1 on it, it'll remove it. If hi does not have it, which it doesn't, then it'll give it to it. So. The last one, style. This is a cool one. Hi.style. Okay, after the dot, you could put whatever CSS style that you want in here. So let's do background color equals red. There we go. And it'll apply styles to your elements. This is very powerful ways to make in JavaScript to use CSS. So the important thing to note here is that the way to use this style for JavaScript is you have to do camel case. You have to change CSS styles into camel case to make it work in JavaScript. So that is all for DOM manipulations. Okay, stick with me here. This is the last thing I'm teaching you, I swear. I'm going to show you this the same way that everyone else teaches this, and that is with 3 divs: grandparent, parent, and child. So in the index, I've already coded this out here. Very simple thing you can see on the left hand side here. 3 divs, give it each a class: grandparent, parent, child, and also some styling. First, initialize them into variables. Boom. We have these 3 divs as variables. Oh, also, if you see the font is bigger, I just put that as a style right here just to make the divs more legible. Now you add an event listener. This is the code to do it. So you have your variable, what you're gonna put the listener on, add event listener, that code. It takes in 2, sometimes 3 parameters, but the first one in here is the type of event that you want to happen. You could look up the different types of events. The most common one is click. That's the one that we're going to be using. Second parameter is callback. The callback is just a function that runs whenever this type of event happens. So the most standard one that you do is use an E and then an arrow function. This is pretty much just a rudimentary function. Inside here, console.log parent has been clicked. And because, I said console.log here, let's refresh console. Oop, grandparent has been clicked. Now I click the green one, which is the grandparent. If I click the blue one, the parent, it also does it, and top one also does it. We will get to that later. You can also have multiple event listeners on an object. The listeners work in 2 ways: bubble, the default, and capture. Bubble starts at the object. So actually here, let me make 3 right here. Oop. Parent, child, click. So grandparent, you have first parent, then grandparent, and you have child, parent, and grandparent. This is the bubbling. Bubble starts at the object, the one that you click on, and then it bubbles up the parents until it reaches the top. It'll go first here, child. Its parent is parent. Parent of this is grandparent. The parent of the grandparent is body. So if we happen to give body a event listener, would also do that. And the parent of body is HTML. That's the way how bubbling works. It works like a bubble. It rises from the bottom to the top. The other one is capture, which is the opposite. You start at the top and then you make your way down, like you're capturing or enclosing that object. You change this with the third parameter, capture true. The parent one has a capture, so that means even if we click the child, that means the parent will come first. Yeah, the parent has a capture, which essentially means, in simple terms, it'll go before things that are bubbled. The parent first, then the child, then the grandparent. There's also a thing called propagation, which is the process of going through the entire capture bubble steps. So the whole process is propagation. You could use the e.stop propagation method to stop that process. Click on the child. Notice that because the child has stop propagation, it doesn't do the grandparent because we force it to stop. A way to have an event only run once is just like the capture. It is once true. Parent is clicked and then the parent no longer shows up. To remove an event listener, it's .remove event listener. So let's make a simple remove event listener one. So function console.log. Hi. Let's do parent.add event listener, lick, and our callback, the function we're going to use is print hi. When you're using a callback, you don't actually use a parentheses like you would for a function. You just use the name of it. Now let's do a simple set timeout function parent.remove event listener, click print hi. Let's do this to 1000 milliseconds. seconds, hi, and then after 2 seconds, it stops the hi method because we deleted it. In order for the remove event listener to work, the object's initial event callback cannot be an arrow function. It has to be a function name. That's because the remove function doesn't know what to remove. If we do the same thing here, remove, like this is the method we're putting in, it doesn't remove it from parent because this is a completely new method. It looks the exact same like this one, but it's different. You're just making a new method. So in order for it to actually work, you have to use a variable method. Event delegation. Let's say you make a variable for all your divs. Then you make an event listener for all those divs. Divs dot for each. Inside of this, we will do an arrow function. Div dot add event listener. Same thing we've been doing. Click console.log new event. Boom. There we go. It's for all of them. New event for both these 2 and 3. 1, 2, 3. Same thing. The thing is, if you add a new div to the page, it won't have a listener because it was created after this for each code. Event delegation is pretty much don't keep adding listeners, just make one universal one. You do this by using e.target.matches. So just to show you this as an example, we will console.log e. Okay, it's logging e, and e again is the variable that we have here for our arrow function. So this is all of the data that e has. You could use a lot of these for very advanced, very cool things like movement, the X and Y position to move them around, layers, pointers, screens. But the thing we are going to be using here, target, right here. Again, it has more stuff to it. E.targets, and it shows the targets. Now that you know how E works and all of its properties, let's make the universal event listener. Documents dot add event listener. Now we're adding this to the documents, the whole page. Click E, then if e.target.matches a div, then console.log div clicked. On this, there we go. Div clicked. Let's add a new div on the bottom here. Let's save it. It is down here. Let's click on it. And now both of these. So div clicked. New events. That is because I put it here for all these divs. But let's get rid of this one because when you're using, this is a lot better because when you're using JavaScript, you will make more divs. So document dot create element div like that. So I added another div down here. The div is right in between these two, and this, see I'm clicking it, it is changing up here. That's why using this instead of the one we had before is better. It works for every div, even after you create one outside of it. You could also make this as a global function, which is another way of doing it easier. So function add global event listener, just the name of it, give it a type, selector, and call back. Inside of this, document dot add event listener, the type that you want, and the arrow function callback. If e.target.matches whatever selector that we want to put it on here, then we will put the event listener into place. And let's get rid of this. And now for the final way to call it, add event global listener. Then do click selector is a div. The callback, the thing we want to put for our listener is console.log global events clicked. So there we go. And works for this div down here, works for these, works for all of them. Final thing I want to teach you guys as a way to code a global selector. This equals Q, could be E, could be anything. Like, this is just what they use. Arrow function, const else document dot selector all to whatever you put in. If else dot length is less than 1, aka there's only one variable that has it, then return else. Else if else dot length is equal to 1. Oh, this one, sorry. If the length is greater than 1, means there's more than one object of the thing you're calling, then return all of the object. If there's only one, then return else at 0, first index. Because query selector all will give you an array, so you have to select the first one. And there you go. So the way to do this, const h2 is equal selector and h2. Nope, this will be all the h2s. It's just a little easier way of not having to do these, like, all of this stuff. That is everything. Thank you for watching. I know this was long, but these JavaScript topics are vital. Look down below, the big subscribe button, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video where I show you a project to build that reinforces all of these ideas you learned in this video. Bye, guys.